Welcome back to the Bodhi Tree Surfboards YouTube channel. So where we left off was that Jono had started doing the shaping. So we'd routed the edge, basically had a square shape, and now Jono's basically cut sick on the rails and started to give the roll off the deck. But where he's at the moment is basically ready to turn it over, because we don't want to perfect any part of the rail until it all gets to a stage of being correct everywhere. So Jono will take a few shots showing you the profile that he's created, but what we're going to do today is look at the main body of the rail. Am I still in there, Jono? The main body of the rail, because we've got to be in front, which is basically a 50-50. So see how the light goes, eh? With the top deck, what we've got is, if this is the middle of the board, so this is the stringer of the board, the deck roll is actually the start of the rail curve. So it rolls over and then it comes around and does the curve. So if this is the middle. With the bottom of the board, it really is just a rounded off 90-degree corner. So basically we're just increasing the radius of the curve that's in there. And what that acts like is basically a tyre. So the way I look at it is that if you take the pressure out of your tyres and they're really soft, like you're driving on the beach or you've got a puncture or something, you have a really soft, fat sidewall on the tyre and it makes the ride really smooth and you can soak up all the bumps. That's pretty similar to the way a board works, is that the rounder your rails, the more sympathetic and floaty the board will be in the water. Now what we don't want to create, Jono, is you don't want this top curve profile on the bottom of the board. So you don't want that as your bottom rail profile. Now the reason for that, so if that's the shape of the board, you got your 60 down to your rounded off 90 on the bottom. If that flips over like that, what's going to happen is that every time you go to do a turn, you actually hit a small facet on the rail, and what happens is the board will slip, so you're going to lose your grip. So the opposite of the tyre with all the pressure out of it and a soft sidewall is a racing bike tyre, where basically it's really sharp and really high pressure, so you feel every bump, it's really twitchy and stuff like that. We want a nice round rail. And so this is the effect of basically having a boxy rail with a hard edge, which means that the board will become twitchy. So when Jono started shaping the top rail, the first aesthetic was coming off the deck. So basically rolling the deck off into the rail and then rolling the rail around. This is a bit different in that we don't want to roll it from the deck, so we're not starting from the deck. We're really going to cut the edge off the corner. So where we're going to start is through the body of the board. We're not going to touch this last third of the board through here. If you just want to show that bit, Jono. So this is the most functional part of the board, so we leave that till the very end. So really what Jono's done is cut his teeth on the top, because you want your skills to be nice and high before you tackle this, because it will change the dynamics of the board. So where's this thing sitting? If this catches it, hopefully we'll be able to get the GoPro footage to give you a bit of a time lapse on the rail getting shaped. So on the top rail, what we did was we rolled off the top down the board, but what we're going to do here is just cut the edge off. So again, I'm going to tilt it so I can just use the edge of the file to cut, and then I'm going to blend. So we'll do a little bit through here. So initially that's just one facet, but what I can do with that facet, so if it's 1, 2, 3, is that I can take the edge off or take the peaks, and you can see how that's starting to roll already. Now you could do a full pass around the board, or what I would suggest is to do a full pass around the board to get everything to match Now, by creating a nice clean shape, it doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to reach the middle of the rail, you don't have to blend it into the deck. All you're trying to do initially is create a rounded off 90 degrees that's nice and neat, and then every time you do a pass, you'll get deeper into it and it'll come down a little bit further. So the most important thing is creating that shape, and then you can make it deeper with each pass. And when I say make it deeper, basically every time you take a layer off, it gets bigger and longer, and eventually it will join up. But the most important thing is that that's a nice shape. So I'll just smash a little bit more out, just so you can see. So you can see that that's starting to get round, and that's enough to start with. It's important that you don't really go too far and you don't try and make any part correct until everything gets correct all at the same time. So you're better off just doing lap after lap after lap, and don't touch the tail rail yet. Just wait for that. Yeah. So it doesn't even have to be that deep on your first pass. All you want to do initially is take that corner off. So if that's all you do on your first pass, that's enough, and then you can knock those facets off and it'll start to round out. And probably stop half a foot from the nose, just because it's a different radius to the roll. But that's enough to start, Jono. That's it. That's self-control. What a difference. We've just finished day, whatever it is. Jono's been smashing out his bottom rail. A few learning curves along the way, which is pretty normal. Jono doesn't want to get in front of the camera, but at some stage I'll get him to have a bit of a yak at the things that he did learn from it, and things that he can pass on to make it easier for you guys. See you next time.